He trusted nobody. Not because he disliked his team, but because he believed one thing: if I do it myself, it will be done right. At first, that attitude made him successful, but eventually it became his biggest problem. Welcome back to Learn English with Stories. Today's story is about Michael, an employee who tried to do everything himself until he learned an important lesson about trust. Let's begin. Michael was one of the most respected project managers in his company. He was organized, efficient, and highly dependable. Whenever a difficult project appeared, management often chose Michael to lead it. And for good reason. He always delivered results. One quarter, the company received a major contract from a new client. The project was larger than anything Michael had managed before. There were multiple deadlines, several departments involved, and very high expectations from the client. Michael felt excited. This was an opportunity to prove himself. At the kickoff meeting, he reviewed the project plan carefully. His team was experienced and capable, but Michael had a habit. He struggled to delegate work. Whenever someone offered help, he often replied, "It's okay, I'll handle it." At first, his team didn't think much about it. But as the weeks passed, the workload increased. Michael reviewed every document personally. He approved every design. He checked every report. Nothing moved forward without him. Soon, emails started piling up. Meetings filled his calendar. Deadlines became harder to manage. His team noticed the pressure. One afternoon, a colleague approached him. "Michael, I can help with the client reports," she said. Michael smiled politely. "Thanks, but I've got it covered." The colleague nodded and walked away. But in reality, Michael did not have it covered. He was overwhelmed. One evening, he stayed at the office until nearly midnight. The next morning, he arrived exhausted, and for the first time in years, he missed an important deadline. The client was unhappy. Senior management wanted answers. Michael felt frustrated. He had worked harder than ever, so why was everything becoming more difficult? Later that week, his director invited him to a meeting. The conversation was honest. "You're a strong project manager, but you're acting like a team of one," the director said. Michael looked surprised. "What do you mean?" he asked. The director leaned forward. "You hired talented people. You trust them enough to join your team, so why don't you trust them with responsibility?" Michael sat quietly. The question stayed in his mind. That evening, he reflected on the project. Slowly, he realized the truth. He wasn't protecting quality, he was protecting control, and those were not the same thing. The following week, Michael decided to change. He assigned client reports to one teammate. He delegated scheduling responsibilities to another. He trusted a senior designer to make more decisions independently. At first, it felt uncomfortable. He wanted to check everything. He wanted to stay involved in every detail. But he resisted the urge, and something unexpected happened. The project moved faster. The team became more engaged. People took ownership of their responsibilities. And for the first time in months, Michael felt less stressed. Several weeks later, the project was completed successfully. The client was satisfied, the team was proud, and management praised their performance. After the celebration, Michael thought about everything he had learned. Being a leader wasn't about doing all the work. It was about helping others do their best work. And sometimes, trusting your team is more powerful than working harder yourself. Now that you've heard the story, let's go through some useful business English words and phrases together with real workplace situations. First, let's look at the word delegate. To delegate means to give responsibility or tasks to someone else. Imagine this situation. You are leading a project with 10 team members. Instead of doing every task yourself, you assign different responsibilities to people based on their skills. That means you are delegating. For example, someone might say, "A good manager knows how to delegate effectively." Another example could be, "She delegated the report preparation to her assistant." Next, let's look at the word responsibility. Responsibility means a duty or task that you are expected to complete. Imagine this situation. Your manager asks you to prepare a presentation for an important client meeting next week. Completing that presentation becomes your responsibility. For example, someone might say, "Managing the project is my responsibility." Another example could be, "He takes responsibility for his mistakes." Now, let's look at the phrase, take ownership. Take ownership means accepting responsibility and treating a task as if it were your own. Imagine this situation. Your manager gives you a project, and instead of waiting for instructions every day, you actively solve problems and make sure everything is completed successfully. That means you are taking ownership. For example, someone might say, "Employees should take ownership of their work." Another example could be, "She took ownership of the project and delivered excellent results." Next, let's look at the word overwhelmed. Overwhelmed means feeling that you have too much work or pressure to handle comfortably. Imagine this situation. You have 5 deadlines in the same week, dozens of unread emails, and several urgent meetings every day. You start feeling unable to manage everything. That means you are overwhelmed. For example, someone might say, "I feel overwhelmed with my workload." Another example could be, "He became overwhelmed after taking on too many responsibilities." Now, let's look at the phrase team efficiency. Team efficiency means how effectively a group works together to achieve goals. Imagine this situation. Everyone on your team understands their role, communicates clearly, and completes tasks on time without confusion. That is good team efficiency. For example, someone might say, "Better communication improved team efficiency." Another example could be, "The company invested in tools to increase team efficiency." Finally, let's look at the word trust. Trust means believing that someone is capable, reliable, and responsible. Imagine this situation. You assign an important task to a colleague and feel confident that they will complete it properly without constant supervision. That is trust. For example, someone might say, "Trust is essential in every successful team." Another example could be, "The manager trusted her team to make decisions." As you can see, these expressions are extremely useful in real workplace situations, especially when discussing leadership, teamwork, and project management. So, what can we learn from this story? Working hard is valuable, but trying to do everything yourself can slow down both you and your team. When you trust people, delegate responsibilities, and allow others to contribute, everyone becomes stronger. And sometimes, the best leaders are not the ones who do the most work, they're the ones who help others succeed. If you want to improve your business English through real-life situations, stories like this can help you both in language and in workplace leadership. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow the channel for more stories. See you in the next video.